Hello, hello, hello. Today's video we're gonna go over one of the other tier 8 loot boxes tanks, or the Christmas boxes tanks that we're getting, and it's called the Iron Arnie. It's a tier 8 American medium tank. Well, it's kind of in disguise. It's a pattern of it, and it's an M47 pattern, I think it's called. M47 pattern. And it's basically a already existing Super Pershing, I would say. It's an improved Super Pershing. It has more robust armor. I would say way more robust armor than the Super Pershing. This thing is not a medium tank, it's more of a heavy tank that's like supporting other heavy tanks kind of thing. You cannot really sidescape with it, but you can really play the hull down, even though you have quite a large cupola. But this tank is all about its armor and survivability. The bad thing about these sort of medium hybrid heavies is that they have very low hit points, so when you get hit, it shaves off a lot of hit points. And we're just going ahead on the south of the south, I think it's the northwest of the map, and we have a projector and a pattern, M46 pattern incoming. Plus artillery shooting on us, and okay, here's one animal. He's just rushed immediately, missed his first shot. I'm just gonna try to block the projector. He's just going full out and shooting. I know I have so many people behind, so I can skip this 46 pattern pushing in, and I really don't know what these guys were doing. I think they had this little bit new tank syndrome kicking in. When they see a new tank, they just go straight at it just to see it, or just to, I don't know, have a look at it, see what it is. They basically threw away 2 tanks for nothing. And yeah, that sometimes happens when a new tank comes into the game. And yeah, absolute animals. But let's talk about the gun. The gun is roughly around 9 seconds reload, give or take, that you have. You have on the AP, you have actually 200 the alpha. Before we go in for the penetration, the alpha is 320 on the 9 seconds, which is fairly okay, fairly fine. You mostly sit hull down and sort of have this type of sort of distance of them. You don't want to be too close, because that's when, you know, most tanks have slightly better reload than you. Oh my god, we hit that one too. That was a nifty little shot. But you have 320 alpha on the AP and the heat. You have 230 pen and 1080 on shell velocity on the AP. So it's actually a very good AP shell with the 230. Your heat pen is 300, so that's really good. And we hit that one as well. My god, with the AP. And the shell velocity on the heat is 1073. So roughly the same as the AP. So it's all about that, like which type of shell is better for this type of combat. Not you don't have to sacrifice the AP or sacrifice the heat for certain long distance sniping and stuff. And then you have 420 alpha with HE, 53 pen, and 945 shell velocity. The one thing that's a little bit bad about the gun is the dispersion. You start with a base dispersion of 0.42. That's like KV2 territory of dispersion. Oh, and now we have another animal incoming. Another one. Just needs to see this tank, but he was kinda in a bad moment there, and oh my, oh no, yikes. That was not good. That was not good. But you have this bad dispersion of the tank. At the moment, I'm using a bird stab on this tank, but you're really good off with using the improved aiming, and I will talk about this more in the garage as well. So at the moment, I'm using a bird stab. Oh man, that was a disgusting shot. I love it though. But you don't really need to use one. You have a gun depression of -10 and a gun elevation of +20. So this tank can play pretty much every hull down spot out there. The tank in itself is not the quickest, but there was a nasty little fire, and he had a manual fire extinguisher. I don't know why people have manual fire extinguisher these days. I went with that shot. I should have taken my time and really aimed this tortoise before I fired that one. The top speed is 40. which is fairly okay. You do reach it actually quite consistently. And then the reverse speed is 15. But that was the quick little victory here on the Steppe, with almost 5,000 damage. Let's hop into the next game. And here we are on Lakeville, and we are heading directly for the 2-line just because it's a good hold down slot and hold down area to move into. And I forgot to briefly mention when I talked about the gun, the aim time, the base aim time is 2.88 seconds. So it's kind of almost a 3-second aim time on the base, but you get it down to 2.4-ish. And it's only the time when you realize you have a bad aim time with this tank is when you're firing on long-range sniping, I would say. The mid-range is kind of fine. Here I am testing the turbo on this tank, and you can see that we capped out the top speed at 44 quite easily, actually. And since we got spotted here, we know there was a light tank spotting us. We keep going in though. We have a Vipera behind us. We have a Charioteer on snipe from the middle that can also come back and help us. We take a little bit more defensive approach. We go left side. We don't go right side because then you can actually get shot when you go through here on the 2-line here on Lakeville. Here we have the light tank. Oh, and Skoda. Oh, he had a shot there actually, but he didn't fire on the move. Sometimes people tend to do that, but we take that shot on the Skoda that we can. While we're working this hold down, it's all about just maintaining control. I'm trying to, you know, that's a bad shot. What I like to do when I'm kind of solo like this is I try to be a little bit aggressive at the start, like a little bit over aggressive, and just to put the fear into the enemy, saying, "Hey, there's more down here." Like they're gonna question, "Why is this guy so aggressive? There must be more incoming." And I just realized with that first shot there that the T-32 is actually stock, and here another animal. It's this new tank syndrome, man. It was ridiculous in the beginning. People just love to peek into you, and this happens very frequently when a new tank comes out. Very frequent. And the Batchat has a better hull armor than I don't know what. Ridiculous. But let's talk about the armor. We have a hull. We start with the hull armor, and then we're gonna hop into the big turret armor. The hull armor is 102 front, but there's some extra plating as well. We're gonna showcase that more in the garage as well. That increases the armor. We have 102 front, 76 on the side, 51 in the back. Oh, wow. 51 in the back we can get pen, but lots of different HEs out there. The turret armor is 330 frontal. 330 frontal turret armor. Some turret 10s can't even pen through that. And then you have 63 on the side and 76 on the back. 64 on the side, actually. And while we are sitting here fighting hold down, which is gonna do a lot with this tank, this type of hold down you kinda don't want to do because you have this close-up fighting with the tank, with other tanks, because that's when you expose the big cupola on the roof, which is fairly easy to kind of shoot when you're fighting this close. So the enemy team here fail a little bit, I would say. You want to have this mid-range hull down, like almost previous battle when you have a little bit mid-range hull down. The other thing is also when you want to peek a fight hull down, you want to be maximizing your gun depression, because that's when you can hide more of the cupola. Otherwise, it's a big cupola, like you can see on the other Arnie in front of me. We have a base view range of 390, so getting a full view range is fairly easy with this tank, actually. Like I said, I tested here with the turbo just to see how it is, and it's pretty fine, actually. We're getting a full top speed, like I talked a little bit earlier about, quite easily with this tank. While we're moving up here, we're kind of taking our time. We're making sure we do want to cross here. If we get to A1, if you manage to do this crossing on 1-2 line, you win it. Otherwise, you kind of get locked down here. If you don't manage to do this crossing, you get locked down, sit where the Vipera is, and then you have to slowly work them out. Checking around the tank, checking around the place, while we're moving in to get closer. This tank is I forgot to mention, it's a premium tank, obviously. So you do earn credits with it. And I went for a track shot, which was, I think, the right call there to make sure it stays put, but the shell went very low. We load in the HE and smash him from 468. Ooh. Ooh, that's pretty nice. That's pretty nice. Here, I'm hoping I can hit the VZ, but no, not close enough, not close enough. So we have only 1,300 hit points, which is not much, and somehow I managed to back into my Udas here, who was apparently sitting right behind me. I don't know why people always try to sit behind you in this game. I never quite understood that. And I'm unsure what this Udas is gonna do. So, okay, so this Udas is gonna sit here and snipe. I'm just gonna do a quick peek, a little bit in front of him. One shot, go back. I thought the Udas had an angle there, but apparently he did not have an angle there. He sat very oddly. Here I'm thinking, alright, let's go for the Scorpion, or should you go for the Scorpion over there? Okay, the Udas is going for the Scorpion, so I'm gonna stay put there. I'm just gonna accept my loss of hit points. We almost killed them with the HE there. We had a 420 alpha, so we high rolled there a little bit. A little bit aware of the VZ. He seems to not be around. We just managed to pick up the Scorpion, and that allows us to kind of move up. I'm thinking, alright, I'm just gonna go in, deal with this VZ, and carry on from there. I see the 122 in the cap. And this is where the sort of aim tank kicks in, but there's an Iron Arnie on the other side as well. And we don't want to stay in this open and getting shot by him multiple times. So I'm just gonna back up, take this 2 to 3 hits, and try to sit full down right here. The really good thing about this tank is that the sort of, how to say it, the gun handling doesn't get too much effective when you're turning and moving. So that's why the vert stab is not essentially needed on this tank. You can get away with improved aiming, the one that gives you slightly better dispersion. And it makes the tank feel actually really good. This battle, I'm not using that. Unfortunately, I didn't get one of the better battles with that equipment. But it allows you, you're gonna roughly have the same aim time as you do, but it allows you to kind of get these snipe shots in a little bit easier. And here we did another 4,900 damage. I just realized I did the same amount of damage in both games. I mean, a few hit points missing here and there though. But that was a fast little game. We take it. That's a good victory. That's a good damage. That's good blocking. Let's hop into the garage to go into more details. Welcome to the Cozy Township, where we're gonna go over this tank more in detail, the crew, the equipment, shells, consumables, and field modification. But before we go in for that, we need to have a look at this armor. So this armor is ridiculously powerful in the turret. Like, you can sit hold on almost like this, so you can kind of hide the cupolas over here, you can see. But there is a big shot trap right there, and a shot trap means that the shell fires in here, bounces down, and pens this upper plate there, which is actually fairly weak. This is a 102, and I can't remember exactly how much this gives, but it gives you an extraordinary amount. So you kind of want to see, it's like kind of like the Super Pershing, where you have the extreme, like the sort of external sort of kind of thing, like the sort of side around it is very weak armor, while this is very beefy. So you kind of want to aim this lower part if you can, if you don't have enough pen for the frontal hull armor. But it's kind of ridiculous. I urge you to check on the tanks.gg to kind of get familiar with how the armor is and such. But further ado, oh yeah, I have to comment as well that this tank looks brilliant as well. I really like it, even though it is got this heavy front end stuff. I really like this color scheme, the Schwarzenegger and the Arnold's signature as well. It looks pretty cool. It looks pretty cool actually, even though we have a tank destroyer sign here. But let's go over the crew now. For the commander, I like to put in Brothers in Arms sound detection actually, but actually no, Brothers in Arms sound detection, repair, situational awareness, and recon. You could pick the situational awareness and recon a little bit earlier instead of sound detection just to get the full view range. As you can see, I barely have full view range with the ventilation on this tank at the moment. Then for the gunner, straightforward, brothers in arms, snapshot, repair, firefighting. You could maybe pick the armorer instead of firefighting, because I haven't been set on fire once with this tank. Most often, you're gonna play hull down and then you're gonna get smashed in through the front mostly. To be honest, you're gonna fight out, duke out in a hull down. There's not gonna be often people gonna come in and shoot you in the back to put you on fire. The driver, I think here we pick brothers in arms, smooth ride, repair, and then clutch braking, and then off-road driving. You can go vice versa there, actually. But this tank needs that little bit extra turning. It turns a little bit bad, actually. The kind of bad traverse speed, I would say. Even though it says here 36, which I think it's a lie, actually. I think it turns a little bit bad overall. It doesn't turn as good as the Super Pershing that has way better sort of traverse. Way better. But the loader, we take brothers in arms, intuition, safe stowage, repair, and then you can choose between camo or firefighting. I would almost pick camo, just because of that. You can maybe squeeze in the adrenaline rush, but it's gonna be kind of tough to have it activated. It's gonna be those lucky games where you get down to, below 130 hit points for it to be activated. For the equipment, I actually think the ventilation, improved aiming, like I talked about during the games, and then rammer. You need to have, I kind of like that just below 9 seconds or at 9 seconds reload. It helps out with the full view range as well. It's actually pretty nice. For secondary equipment, I think we have turbo, improved aiming, and then rammer. You could justify this with a bird stab instead, because you're gonna go a little bit faster. And sometimes when you go that a little bit faster, the bloom becomes a little bit too big, and then you kind of want to have the word stab instead. You kind of want to have a more powerful word stab sometimes for that. But this equipment works really good for this tank, because most often when you work cooldown, you work slowly. You don't really throw the tank around there, and when you push, you take your time with it, and it actually feels very fine. I'm surprised by this, actually. I was very surprised when I was testing it. It didn't take me long until I realized that this was probably better overall for this tank. And then we have the shells. I like to go 50-50 with the AP and heat, just because they're similar speed, so you can choose which one it's needed for certain cases. And then 5 HE for those yummy target. And of course, we pick the Coca-Cola repair first aid kit. Let's go over the field modification. And always I pick the modular durability increase. This thing is just a godsend when it kicks in. It basically helps you when your engine is damaged, or your gun is damaged, or your ammo rack is damaged. You don't get such a big negative out of it. So when your repair kit is on cooldown, boom, this thing kicks in. You could argue for this tank that you could maybe have the hull traverse and such, and then just use a big repair kit. That can actually kind of work for this tank. But I like to use my small repair kit with this tank, just to earn that extra credits. And then we have the obvious one. We always pick this one, smaller aiming circle. It allows you to kind of get down the dispersion better, and it's very good. And then we have something that I usually don't pick, and that is actually the increased reverse speed, but minus on the concealment. But the thing is, you work this tank like a heavy, so your concealment doesn't matter too much. Yeah, it's good to have, but I think it's better when you play this hull down roll that we have this slightly better reverse speed. Sure, we're not up to the magical 20 number that I always strive for, but with the turbo you do get up to it. For the boost, this I don't know, you probably pick survivability if you're using improved hardening instead of want to have ventilation in one of your build. So then you go between improved hardening and turbo. You can switch between them depending on whatever the battlefield you get. You don't get too much hit points, but you get a little bit. But that was my little review of the Arnie. And unfortunately, I do not have Arnold as my commander. He is in the American tech tree. I think he's on my M5Y tank, if I remember. But it's a shame that we can't have a free retrain on him, so we can put him in on this tank. I mean, I probably could retrain him, actually, now I think about it. I probably should have, but it's too late now. We already played the tank. But that's it. That's my little review of the M47 Arnie. It's a good tank. It's a solid tank. It's a quite, I wouldn't say fun tank. I mean, it's a very solid tank. It's not a tank you like meme around in. It's a very solid all-rounder kind of hull-down tank. We have seen a million of these, but this one is actually quite nice. Quite nice for it, for what it wants to be. It's a quite nice tank. I don't have much more to say, actually. I think I said everything I wanted to say about the M47 Arnie. So thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned, because there's a few more tanks that we have that have coming up.